Okay, looks like the hour's at hand. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start off here, I just want to just make sure my ringer's turned off. We didn't talk about how we were going to handle things. I guess I'll just read everything off on it, unless you want to, Frank. Sure, that'd be fine. If you want. Our chief clerk is not here today.
Citizens input on agenda items only.
Seeing none, or is there some? Okay. I saw a hand.
None?
I'm sorry. Yeah, if you'd like to, yep.
Last time we were here.
Ms. Krebs, as you know, this was part of the agreement that was approved back a couple of months ago before the application, I think, had even been filed, or certainly before you had gotten the word back on it. And again, this is on here today not as any acknowledgement that it wasn't done appropriately the first time, because we feel that it is, and frankly, we'll still contest that point if we need to, but it's as to not stall what will be something that will be a very positive development for the county, bring jobs in, add to our tax base, and frankly, result in $1.5 million to our taxpayers. So, again, thank you for your comments. Is there anybody else that has any public comment? Mm-hmm.
You just referenced, has the $1.5 million been paid to the county yet?
It would not be until the property is closed on.
And when will that?
That would be after they subdivide the property and sell it. No, but the longer, no, false. I think what she's trying to say is that the more, well, okay, the more roadblocks that there are that are put in place, which is what is really happening here. Okay, all right. Thank you for your comments. Yes, yeah, sure. Thank you.
Just to address that publicly, what Chris is referring to, and that's holding up 50 people, talking about local aid. Deadline of February. Be able to hire this time. Contract contracts every also talking about the
I said was that until $1.5 million, you don't own the property, so you can't have any contractors come into a property you
We're
don't
ready.
own.
We have the million now.
So-
We're ready to go.
What
We
do
can
you do?
purchase tomorrow.
Put it into our account, then there's not a problem.
You can't, because we don't have it subdivided.
Obviously, it's hard to argue with that kind of logic. So, would you like a statement, please? That's fine.
I'm just trying to clarify exactly what's happening. We can't. Is what we're.
Can I, Mr. Dirk, you're getting out of order. I mean,
Yeah,
you want to
are out
start
of
making
order.
accusations,
If
then
you
you're
want to
going
make
to have to leave.
accusations, there will be a time and a place for everybody here who's been making accusations to make them. That time will be determined by a judge now, and the place will be on a witness stand under oath and everybody under penalties of perjury. You might find yourself on that stand as well. So, okay, you'll find that you don't get to say just whatever you want to say on that stand and get away with it. So, okay.
Ms. Krebs, can you just come, just so that people can hear you on the microphone? And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, okay? My understanding is that from that agreement, the option agreement that was voted on in May, is that a couple of things had to happen before our obligation to help you get a public road would kick in, okay? And if you disagree with me, just let me know. I'm not here to attack you, all right? This is about understanding. My understanding of that option agreement would be that first you would exercise your option, and it tells you how to go about doing that. Now, I haven't seen that document yet. I'm not disputing that you haven't exercised the option, but I haven't seen anything like that yet, okay? Apologize if I haven't. And then after you exercise the option, it also says that a formal agreement of sale, you know, with a proper legal description and all of that, would then be written up, okay? I haven't seen that yet. And again, and I apologize if that exists out there, but I have not seen it. And then it does say about subdivision and zoning, and there's one typo in one of the paragraphs, but it does say that you folks will be obligated to go and get the subdivision and the zoning. Now, I hear what you're saying about the public road. I get what you're saying, that you're never going to get the subdivision because of the fact that you don't have access to a public road, okay? I contacted Cole Township, and I just had a couple of questions for them, as I do for you today, because my understanding was that once you exercise the option formally in writing, then our next obligation, sort of like a give and take, right? Our next obligation would be to draft up a formal sales agreement with a legal description, okay? Then the ball's now back in your company's court to then file with Cole Township for any zoning or subdivision, okay? Then there was even language in this agreement that said, if Cole Township tells you that that's required or denies your subdivision, then the ball comes back to us to help you get that public road. That's my understanding of reading that, okay? Again, I'm not trying to argue that you're sort of jumping to the conclusion that they're going to tell you that. I'm just saying they haven't. And I did speak, and Mr. Slaby's even here, about subdivision and zoning. There are a couple options that you could have that don't require you to jump right to a public road, such as a variance to use that road that could be written into the deed, okay? And I understand that these things all sort of happen, they can happen together simultaneously. Like in a perfect world, these governments would work together to make that happen. I used to be a zoning solicitor at Point Township, okay? And sometimes companies would come before us to sort of get a pre-approval before they spent money. Like you're saying, you're not going to spend $1.5 million on property that you're not going to be able to use. They do allow you to get a pre-approval before you spend money and do tests and line up contractors. And I did speak to Mr. Slaby if that if you exercise that option, to actually hear from them about what you require, informally or formally. And they told me that you hadn't yet. So I guess some people's perspective might be that this ball that goes back and forth, well, we haven't been given the ball yet because, one, no formal option has been exercised. And I fully agree it's a matter of paperwork. And again, if I haven't seen it, then I apologize. I just haven't seen it. And then after that, then we will do a formal sales agreement, okay? The reason that I bring this up is because, and the reason that I wanted to have this on the agenda where we could chat with it, isn't to try to scare you out of purchasing this property. I fundamentally don't believe that a public road going through the prison is ideal for the prison complex. You could have an easement. I have an easement in my own driveway that requires the property owner on the other side of me to be able to use that driveway, okay? I can't block their access to it, okay? And to be fair, there's some interesting things that would be in favor for you folks to have it that way. Because once it's public, it is much more difficult to control security, both for our prison, for our warden, and for you folks. So it would be, in my opinion, it would be better off if you had access to the road, not necessarily a public road. And I understand that for subdivision, the terms of the subdivision say what, within 25 feet of access to a public road? I'm just arguing that I did discuss with that board about alternative, resources to you and action that your company could do, okay? That's just one comment about the road. So I haven't seen those things, and I think that's what Mr. Dirk is sort of trying to verbalize, is that our onus isn't on us yet under that contract that was agreed and signed on until a couple of things, we call them conditions precedent in the law, and the conditions precedent haven't been met to my knowledge, okay? If they have, then I apologize. But I think that the best way that this could have been done is to have your company first come to prison board and suggest where that road would be. Because then when we write our sales agreement, the metes and bounds of that road could be put in your deed. It protects us, it protects you. That's the way it's normally done. And then the prison board then would recommend to the commissioners, if necessary, and we would only know by Cole Township, if necessary by Cole Township, that a certain portion of that road has to be declared public. They would recommend to the commissioners, after consultation with everybody like the warden and people that have to protect their rights there as well, okay, that we would declare a certain portion of that road public. And it wouldn't be just a road. We would know it by metes and bounds because it would be in your sales agreement, okay? And then that sales agreement, along with a resolution or an ordinance, would then be filed with the court after we voted to give our county solicitor the authority to do so, okay? My contention is, and I'm just telling you this personally because there's a lot out there, you have the right to purchase this land and do everything under that contract. My contention is that these steps, in my humble opinion, needed to be followed, okay? That's simply all I wanted to say about that.
I'm going to take a couple minutes. Correct. So we did exercise our option. The letter was delivered to your certified mail.
Then I apologize. I do not have a copy of that.
It was exercised, and we are in the process of writing up action with it. So we certainly. That
I understand what you're saying, but good government has these conversations in public, okay? And no, really, I did not receive.
I'm sorry, I've not spoken to these people at all. I have
No, but the thing is, no, I understand on your side for your interests. I'm simply saying that the option agreement, that has not been shown to me. An agreement of sale, these are things that they precede any action on the road according to that option contract. I'm just saying what it says in simple language, okay? And I just wanted to explain to you where I'm coming from this. You helped me answer questions. But why not just send a letter to Cole Township and ask them these questions so that it triggers our responsibility formally under this option contract? They haven't denied you anything. They haven't denied you a variance. They haven't denied you subdivision. They didn't tell you what is required, where it's required, how it would be required. Have they done that in writing? I'm not denying that you are having conversations. I'm just saying, was that plan, that subdivision plan, given to Cole Township for?
Subdivision plan, I'm not gonna spend $5,000 to subdivide land.
Sir, when I was a zoning solicitor, people would come before us and say, before I spend all of this money, I'm talking about developments, all kinds of housing projects, that they say, we're not going to spend all of this money and build in Point Township unless we get a pre-approval. And it's very simple. They say, the zoning board would say, subject to. This is pre-approval, subject to. You purchase the land, all of that, okay? That was my question, okay? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any
Motion
further-
is needed to approve and dispense with the reading of the minutes.
There are a few hands up here, just people who, we'll try and keep it brief, because frankly, this particular issue we'll hit again.
I'm speaking
Later
from
in the
as
agenda.
a resident of Northumberland County, and it's not, it's very obvious that you have been opposing a business coming into this county, and your reasons for this change. Secondly, you told me when I was at one committee. Would oppose any business. Majority of the people I speak with want this. Best. Not this here. On location. Needs tax revenue, just about the $1.5.
Ms. Dunkelberger, I know that I did oppose this business coming in, voted and fought against it. But once the vote,
Of the way.
okay, when the gavel drops and you have the vote to go there, there's nothing that I can do about that. But when someone files to declare a road public and you don't tell the warden and you don't do all the things that are in the contract,
Business is up there
okay,
as well.
can I please finish? Okay, I did listen to you. I'm not arguing with your perspective or the 72-year-old woman's perspective that that's the way that you view it. I am simply, and you'll see that when we get to the motion, I am not trying to fight the battle that has already been lost. I am trying to do what is required of us to do under that option contract. And there's things that you were required to, this company was required to do under that option contract. I don't know how much more clear that I can be. I mean, when you do something like this and you don't even tell the warden and you don't, listen, the warden didn't know. I called him the day that I found out. He did not know, and I have that in writing. I'm just saying that you're getting ready to move prisoners to a complex, and suddenly you find out through the rumor mill that this road is going to be public. It causes everybody to just hit the brakes. And my problem isn't even with your company anymore. You will see that. Well, it isn't. I mean, I didn't hide the fact that I opposed your business.
As Richard Schott, lead commissioner, said, you know, there is going to be another avenue for this.
The avenue's here. The avenue's here. It's now on a public agenda. That's the avenue.
I'd also like to say, just for the record, literally, everyone knows that this road put it into vote, and the mayor think hours after we.
No. Sir, it was filed in court.
Please, just allow the member of the public to speak.
Without interrupting you? Appreciate it. It might not have been to the warden's knowledge that very day, but that's only because the warden didn't need to know 3 hours after we had the conversation, just like you do. The warden did find out. The warden does know, and I don't have any letters. Has anyone seen a letter of opposition from the warden on this road? Because if he was really opposed, I'd like to see a letter of opposition from the warden.
Sir, this action to declare the road public for your benefit was on September 7th. I found out 2 weeks ago, okay? It was already filed in a court of law. That isn't about having a meeting before that. The way that government works is we have to vote to allow our solicitor to give him the authority to file an action in law, okay? It's not automatic.
And I'm sorry, we're not expecting it to be automatic. We requested the hearings necessary. I'm sorry that your schedule doesn't make you available for these meetings.
That's not what that is about.
Okay, well, it seems like it. You know, the article.
It has to be in a public meeting, sir.
We requested those public meetings, which got postponed until today. So we just want to make clear, we have done this by every legal aspect. We have not done anything not by the books. I'm sorry that...
I'm not accusing you of doing anything not by the books. I'm accusing these folks of not doing it by the books. I'm sure that I'm not denying that.
Okay.
I am not denying that.
Then please stop publicly bashing our company to the media.
I am not publicly bashing your company to the media. What I am trying to do is say that in order for this to have been filed in a court of law, public action had to be taken. And sir, you didn't have to wait. They didn't have to wait another month. They could have called a special meeting. They could have called an executive session. And while you think that it's funny, ridiculous, or frustrating, government has to do it like that. One person is not authorized to do that. And that's what this is really about.
And again, that'll all be addressed in the lawsuit. There was one other person, I think, that...
I came here with one question. I wasn't...
It's one of the issues I have.
Excuse me, but
That's what I can't believe the issue is, because the Northumberland County Jail been there for 140 years.
Right.
I mean, I'll try to answer. I had two questions for the warden. I said, did you know and do you have security concerns? Okay, and I asked him in writing. And he said, I didn't know. And he said, I can't answer the second question because I would need to know how they're going to go through the road and things like that. He said, it could, but I can deal with it. And that's what he said. To answer your question about how it's different from downtown, downtown on a public street is very different from a remote access, okay? I anticipate that this company will have deliveries and they have employees and they have foot traffic. Okay, I'm not saying it can't be done, sir. And it would have been done had this been gone through the public way that it's supposed to, through a vote, okay? That's what my complaint is, that this was not done properly, where all those concerns could be heard and vetted. And I understand the companies on a different timeline. They've got to get this done. I understand that. And I mean, I am done on that horse. That ship has sailed. But this, sir, this has to be done properly. It must be. They have 2 votes. I will always lose. But I have statutory authority to know about what's going on, speak about it, and vote before action is taken. Okay? That's what I'm saying here. Before action is taken. And the only reason I mention about the warden and prison board is because if I were the commissioner that was in charge of the agenda, I would have taken it to prison board by special meeting to hurry up the process. If they can't wait another month, there's always something they can do, okay? Or an executive session. I would have vetted it with prison board first, referred it to this board for a vote, a public vote, okay? So, I mean, it's really difficult for me to express, and I can understand why the company doesn't believe what I'm saying, but what I'm trying to tell you is that public vote, we had a meeting on September 4th. This motion that's on today could have been on September 4th meeting. They filed on the 7th. We were here. We were here.
Like you say, you're delaying them, could cost them this.
I'm not delaying them. I did not put this on the September 4th meeting. I don't control the agenda. I didn't know anything about it. I was waiting for a closing or to see an option that was exercised so that I could see the metes and bounds. And I was waiting for a rejection from Cole Township or an application or a pre-approval or something, which would have triggered me to ask my questions and concerns. I knew nothing until a Saturday at the end of September when somebody showed me a picture of a court action that was filed to take this land and call it public property. I also did not know of the hearing that Friday, okay? It wasn't even on our public commissioner calendar. Court hearing, nothing. I wasn't served a copy of this that was filed with a court. Not a copy of anything, okay? So I'm saying, understand the business. I understand where you're at. We're beyond that. I'm talking about sort of the indignant and illegal reality of how this all played out. Had this been September 4th, and this same motion that you're going to see today would have been on there, it would have been a 2-to-1 vote, and then it would have been filed in the 7th, and there would be nothing to discuss here today. But people would have known about it. It's important to know that.
Well, don't you think you're saying get the public vote?
It's still required. The press covers it.
But why wouldn't you have a vote or more people here when people are off of work?
Sir, I've been asking for evening meetings. I've been asking for evening meetings for a very long time. I've worked for the county for a very long time. I don't control that. I'm not the chairwoman.
Well,
okay?
Mr. Hassinger, we did have
Excuse me.
several.
All I'm going to tell you is on this issue, had it been a special meeting, they could have called an evening special meeting. I'm just saying the bare minimum that the law requires is a public vote before you file an action in law. And I wasn't even given a courtesy copy. I wasn't even notified on our public calendar that this was going on. That's all I'm saying. And it's kind of in their interest that it's done legally because then it's done, right? It's done. You can't invalidate it in a next board. Like a next board that sits here, they could invalidate it because it was done illegally. So, I mean, it's on today. It'll go through 2-to-1, and they'll move forward. Okay?
And like I said, my thing was the security of the prison. That was mine. I know it's the town, but still, it's the county prison.
And I understand.
I mean, there's no more security risk, more security risk in town, I would think, than out of town.
Sir, those arguments are long gone. This is about this process.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Hassinger. And again, all of her allegations will be addressed in the court proceedings. I guess we'll continue if there's no other further public comment.
Motion is needed to approve and dispense with the reading of the minutes of the Commissioners' special public meeting held on Wednesday, August 22nd, 2018, and the Commissioners' public meeting held on Tuesday, September 4th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
The question? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion is needed to pay all county and liquid fuel payrolls as submitted by the Human Resource Officer for payroll number 18 in the amount of $701,225.79, and payroll number 19 in the amount of $701,516.75.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
A motion is needed to pay all county and liquid fuel bills as submitted by the county controller in the amount of $6,601,736.19 from August 25th, 2018 to September 28th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Special public meeting will be held on Tuesday, October 16th, 2018 at 1 o'clock p.m. at the Public Meeting Room at the Administration Center, 399 Stadium Drive, Sunbury, for consideration of the enactment of a dead ordinance. The next regular public meeting will be held on Tuesday, November 13th, 2018 at 1 p.m. in the Public Meeting Room at the Administration Center, 399 Stadium Drive, Sunbury. The Northumberland County Courthouse, Administration Center, and related county facilities will be closed on Monday, October 8th, 2018 on observance of Columbus Day holiday, Tuesday, November 6th, 2018 in observance of the Election Day holiday, and Monday, November 12th, 2018 in observance of the Veterans Day holiday. A motion is needed for the Commissioners to sign the state tax equalization voucher for transfers of real estate for the month of August 2018 as submitted by the Assessment Office.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
A motion is needed to approve the employee status sheet, list of new hires, individuals no longer employed, promotions, demotions, and transfers as items number 1 through 24.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion is needed to approve the following reports as listed, A and B.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion is needed to ratify the leasing of a copier CS 3212 from CSP Office Equipment for Domestic Relations at a monthly cost of $95.21 for 60 months.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion is needed to ratify the leasing of a digital mailing machine from Mail Finance Incorporated for Domestic Relations at a monthly cost of $130 for 63 months.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
A motion is needed to declare a state of emergency disaster area for properties in the vicinity of Dewart Street, Dewart, Pennsylvania, including Northumberland County Bridge Number 71, BMS 49720106300071 T630, located at River Road over Delaware Run in Delaware Township for the replacement of a deck.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
A motion is needed authorizing permission to advertise the following as listed, A and B.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Recognize the controller for a report on the bid opening held on Monday, September 24th, 2018 at 10:30 a.m. in the public meeting room for HVAC subcontractor to the Northumberland County Weatherization Program.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Oops, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was, we're recognizing first, yes. Got into the rhythm there.
Northumberland County received one bid for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning services on behalf of the Weatherization Department from LTS Plumbing and Heating of Pac Sinus.
Any questions for the controller regarding the bids? All right, we'll move on to the motion then.
Motion is needed to award the bid for HVAC subcontractor to the Northumberland County Weatherization Program to LTS Plumbing and Heating Incorporated, Pac Sinus, Pennsylvania.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion is needed authorizing the Commissioners to sign the Juvenile Court Judges Commission, JCJC, grant in aid for funding in the amount of $151,537 as submitted by Tim Heitzman, Chief of Probation.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor state aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion is needed authorizing the filing of an action seeking the declaration of a county public road for that portion of Northumberland County Drive located on Northumberland County tax parcel 00A000077013B, located in the Township of Cole, and to take any other actions necessary to effectuate the same.
So moved.
Second, on the question?
I would like to read my comments into the record, Carrie, and I've written them, so you can have it then for reference. Okay. Okay. So I want to talk about motion number 18. I truly do consider it a small victory that this motion made its way in today's public meeting agenda. And I'd like to thank the chairman, who's responsible for the agenda items and having the good sense or good legal counsel to include it. My motivation has been slanderously called into question, and I want to take this opportunity to clearly state that my motivations are simple. Agency action requires a public vote following an opportunity to speak. It is not personal. It is not an attempt to doom your business. This is about government process. I care passionately about it as you do your business. This is my statutory authority, right, and privilege to examine any proposed motion, action, resolution, and ordinance. I get to speak publicly. I get to have a vote. I get to be responsive to my constituents. They ask nothing less of us, and I expect nothing more. I respect that I am the minority commissioner, and my dissenting vote will not change the majority's course. I respect that there is a majority on this board, and that the majority vote will carry forward county decisions and action. What I do not respect, and I have grown intolerant of, is the intentional interference with my statutory authority to do my job. It has become the habit of the majority to commit agency action, enter into contracts, hire, fire, appoint prior to public exposure, and in some cases without any vote at all. The fact is that this motion that's on the table makes it clear that my goal for this issue, has become publicly aware of the road, and my objections to it have been now achieved. I do not think the road is necessary, and I've gone over all the reasons that I have thought so. I do not believe that it's necessary in the end to do this if you would work with Cole Township. I've gone over the fact that prison board was not aware, the warden was not aware. I've gone over the fact publicly, and I'll state again now, that the declaration of a public road carries with it to our constituents an additional 2 mills of tax if they so choose to do that. Any and all road construction would be the benefit for you, and I think that it should be at your cost as well, not 1/3, at your cost. I fundamentally believe that. My goals of having a public vote and my public concerns have been met. I'm going to withdraw my preliminary objections today to your road petition. This makes the next motion, number 19, moot, as there's no need to now have outside counsel. Thank you.
Is there any other comment before I have a few comments? Okay. Again, as to the specifics of the case, and there's also a related case that Ms. Best filed against the two of us, myself and Mr. Chicatano, personally, but frankly for things that we were doing in the course of our employment as commissioners. And you'll see there's a motion coming up later to engage outside counsel for that. The only reason for that is because Ms. Bez has opposed having our solicitor represent us in that. I'd like to, again, I'm not going to talk a whole lot about the specifics of it because the time and the place for that, again, will be in a courtroom. It will be with everyone, including Ms. Best, under oath on a witness stand, subject to cross-examination and subject to the penalties of perjury. What I would like to share with you, just so people can put into context what is going on here, these are statements that were made to me in writing from, frankly, someone who is a friend of Ms. Bess, who has engaged in the past, along with her, in many of the malicious attacks out on the internet, on Facebook and other things, against myself, stating lies about me, stating lies about Mr. Chicatano, but this is someone who, at some point, I think, reached a point where they were not willing to follow Ms. Best into the depths that she seems willing to go, and that, frankly, I think some of the other people sitting in this room, I think, will ultimately prove willing to go. I have originals of these communications. However, I just wrote them down now. I believe the originals will probably end up being admitted into evidence in this matter and in our response to it regarding her allegations that we have violated the Sunshine Act. Again, based off this is my opinion. This has all been a lot of political nonsense, a lot of smear campaign, and so forth, which is what we really kind of already knew. This person has given us some new insight into it, and frankly, we now have in our possession quite a few documents in electronic format and otherwise that I would anticipate will become relevant in this case. So I'm going to read for you just a few of the communications that were sent to me. And again, this is by someone who's known Ms. Best for decades, worked on her campaign, and who actively, frankly, was out on the internet bashing us at various points in time, apparently at her behest. First one, just an FYI. I believe that there is in the works a plan to destroy your reputation. This was sent to me personally. Again, then Kim and Vinny combine forces for next election. Another one, Kim is a very selective liar. Seems as if she just remembers what she wants to. Again, these are not my statements. I'm just letting you know what someone who has been working with her and, frankly, doing her bidding with respect to her political agenda for years is saying. Another one, she brainwashes herself and locks out logic and is conveniently forgetful. You should see some of the emails she wrote me. I have seen some of those emails and have them in my possession, as well as other documentation that has been given. These were sent to me some time ago to kind of forewarn me that this sort of thing was coming. Another one, she was planning on being the boss, the chairman. That's all that she talked about. Again, we get to kind of the motivation behind this, the need to want to control everything, the ego involved in it. She's power hungry and is very conniving. It's her way or no way. She's always been that way, and if she can't control everything, she goes crazy. This is just a small sampling, frankly, but I want people to understand the context of what we are dealing with here. I frankly had these for some time and have had a lot of the other information that's been forwarded to me for some time. I was hoping we wouldn't have to get here, but Ms. Best has taken us here, and she's taken us into a courtroom with it. So, again, as these other motions come up, you're going to see that part of the plan is that, she works with Mr. Clausy to reduce how much you get paid to be a commissioner. Then she takes up a lot more of our time to make it that you have to spend all your time doing something that you're now being paid less for. And then they attempt to bleed you by claiming that you have to personally pay for an attorney to represent you when people make bogus allegations against you just because they name you in your individual capacity, even though the very thing they're accusing you of, it would be impossible to have violated the Sunshine Act but for the fact that we are public officials. I can assure you, despite whatever she says, there is no precedence for people having to foot the bill for that themselves. It's unfortunate that the county will have to foot it. Again, we tried to go about it the cheapest way that we could by having the solicitor involved. Part of the tactic was to not allow that to happen so that it would be more expensive. But again, this will all be discussed in much more detail and under oath when we get into the courtroom. So again, I don't know if there's any further comment on this particular one, and if not, there's been a motion saying, why don't we second the motion on this? We can get to the motions about unless you.
Do we still go forward?
Was there?
Yes, there was a motion and a second on this, I believe.
There's a motion.
Oh, there was a motion, a second, and then on the question. So is there anything further on the question with respect to the motion to authorize the road, or the seeking the petition to authorize the road?
You're withdrawing the preliminary objections? Are you withdrawing?
After the vote.
Okay, does that mean that we can proceed under the existing action?
Yeah.
And are you withdrawing the motion to disqualify me vis-a-vis the declaration of public road?
Yes, in that one, not CV 18-1630.
Frank, I would prefer we just go ahead and approve this so that we can do it.
I won't proceed. Well, let's pass the things, but I won't proceed based upon this, and then when you file the thing.
I understand.
I don't want
Okay,
to, I don't
there's
want
the-
to exclude our option to do this based off of just her verbal
Okay.
statement that she will do that, because I don't put a lot of validity in it.
There's a motion and a second. The question's been heard. There should be a vote.
Okay, all in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
One opposed, motion carries.
Motion is needed to authorize the engagement of outside counsel, the law firm of Offutt Kerman, and to retain Joseph F. Kelly Jr. Esquire to represent the County of Northumberland in the matter of In Re Northumberland County Drive, in the matter captioned to CV 181580, and any related matters at an hourly rate not to exceed $450 an hour.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay, I'll second. Again, I would like to have the option of doing this if we need to. For all I know, we leave this room today, and again, as part of the stall tactic that's been involved here, Ms. Best goes back on what she said she would do. Is there any further comment on that? Okay, all in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
One opposed, motion carries.
Motion is needed to authorize the engagement of outside legal counsel, the law firm of Offutt Kerman, to retain Joseph T. Kelly Jr. Esquire to represent Northumberland County Commissioner Richard Schock and Commissioner Samuel Chicatano, captioned to CV 181630, at an hourly rate not to exceed $450 an hour.
So moved.
Second, on the question?
On the question, Commissioner Richard Schock and Commissioner Sam Chicatano are not named in that caption. It is Richard Schock and Sam Chicatano. And again, I have things that I want to say that I want put on the record, and Karen, I did write them down so that it would be easier to transcribe. So this is more brief than the first one because it really doesn't include the county. For years, before I ever sat in this chair, for years, as a female attorney in my own law office, I have sued prior boards of commissioners and the county for Sunshine Act violations because I feel that it is important. Open government is the key to democracy, and I believe that fundamentally. It is something that I am passionate about. In 2012, I sued to prevent backroom decisions. In 2013, I sued in an action that resulted in the guaranteed rights of anybody here to speak uninterrupted for 3 minutes and not be cut off. I also sued for the right to speak to any one of the commissioners and address your concerns without another commissioner telling them that they can't speak or being cut off by another commissioner. Today, I'm just continuing the same thing that I've been fighting for my legal career. I'm fighting for the deliberation of county business and all official action to be done at public meetings which follow the rules of the Sunshine Act, and they are prior notice to the public and all commissioners, minutes of any publicly held meetings, recording of votes, and public comment. It's my intention that Mr. Schock and Mr. Chicatano be held personally accountable for violations of the Sunshine Act if the law so finds that. It's my intention that both of you should commit to a set of procedures required by all municipal government officials, all of them. To be clear, I have not sued this county. I brought in an action against you personally. It is unbelievable to me that you would attempt to have the taxpayers pay for your personal defense. I paid for this lawsuit out of my own pocket, and they should have to pay for their defense. I offer an alternative to this legal action, as I did in the first. You simply follow the law. You err on the side of open government. You promise today to take meeting minutes in all publicly held meeting, record the vote, and give 20 notice as the law requires to all commissioners prior to any executive sessions. That's all.
I have a question, if I may, again.
Yes.
As there are portions of this suit that pertain to the declaration of road, are those matters?
Can you contact counsel?
Sam, I don't know if you have anything you'd like to say, or, no? Okay. Again, there will be a time and a place to address all of this. It will be on a witness stand under oath and under penalties of perjury. It is our position that we have not violated the Sunshine Act in any form whatsoever. In fact, I anticipate that there will be extensive testimony and also documentation establishing that the person who's been violating the Sunshine Act and attempting to violate it for the last several years is actually Commissioner Best. To the extent, Frank, that, again, part of the ploy here is to make it so expensive to be a public official, if you aren't someone who will do what Vinnie Clausey wants or his minions, to have them have it be very expensive and pay for their own defense. So she points out the fact that she has named us not as Commissioner Richard Chalk and Commissioner Samuel Chicatano. Perhaps we should withdraw the motion. We will put it in that format, the motion, leaving that off. Well, in terms of having the motion be that to represent Northumberland County, Richard Chalk, and Samuel Chicatano. Or you can name it as Commissioner Richard Chalk, Commissioner Samuel Chicatano, and each of us also just by our first, or our
Attorney
names, not
Garrigan.
Commissioner.
Can I suggest that it references the CV number there, and the caption should be read as the CV number reads for the motion?
Whichever.
I don't think that it really matters about the titles of the people, because that is their title. For example, if you sued Bill Clinton or you've sued President Bill Clinton, which would still be accurate as to either.
We do
Says
reference the
Northumberland
CVD.
County.
We do
The county is
reference
not,
the CVD.
I
county
agree,
is
the county
not
is not a
sued.
party to this.
However, the county may be a party in any responsive action. So
Then again, I suppose it,
it leaves our,
if and when that ever occurs, then at that point.
it's imminent. So that's why we're asking for the, because it's related to this, so.
Okay. Do you wish to make any change?
Actually, I think that as it reads is fine. We do mention the caption number, so.
Well, it is, the caption number
And
is
it's
in there.
clear and on the record that, yes, we are saying that the county is going to be paying for the legal defense, even though she named us individually, because again, from a public policy standpoint, who would ever run for public office if anybody could just make bogus allegations and file them, and you'd have to defend yourself legally? You would never get anybody to run for public office, so. Okay, so with that being said, there was a motion and a second. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? One opposed. Motion carries.
Motion is needed to approve the following change orders for the Northumberland County Prison as listed.
Motion?
So moved.
Make the second. On the question? Todd, I don't know if you have any comment on any of these, or?
These are the result of the final.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments regarding this motion? Okay. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Abstain.
One abstention. Motion carries.
Motion is needed to authorize the Commissioners to sign the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency Grant in Aid Subgrant Number 29297 for the Victims of Juvenile Offenders VOJO program in the amount of $62,192 for project period January 1st, 2019 to December 31st, 2020, as submitted by the Juvenile Court Services.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor state aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion is needed authorizing the Commissioners to sign the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency Victim Witness Grant application for project period January 1st, 2019 to December 31st, 2020, as submitted by the District Attorney's Office.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor state aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
A motion is needed authorizing travel requests and attendance at the following workshops, seminars in accordance with the county's personnel manual travel reimbursement policy
So
as
moved.
listed.
So moved.
Second.
On the question? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we'll move on to the solicitor's report. You get to go.
Ongoing. A motion to adopt resolution R 82-18, bid award agreement between the Northumberland County Commissioners on behalf of the Weatherization Department and LTS Plumbing and Heating Incorporated to provide HVAC services to the weatherization program.
So moved.
Second?
On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adopt resolution R 83-18, adoption of the Fair Housing Resolution to ensure compliance with the federal fair housing law and the Pennsylvania Human Relations Act as submitted by the Planning Department.
So moved.
Second?
On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adopt resolution R 84-18, renewal of service agreement between the Northumberland County Commissioners and Commonwealth Security of Sunbury for maintenance services to security systems at various county buildings.
So moved.
Second?
On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adopt resolution R 85-18, grant agreement between the Northumberland County Commissioners on behalf of the Department of Public Safety and Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency and East Central Pennsylvania Counterterrorism Task Force for the U.S. Department of Homeland Security fiscal year 2018 State Homeland Security Grant Program.
So moved.
Second?
On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adopt resolution R 86-18, contract agreement between the Commissioners of Northumberland County and Johnson Control Fire Protection LP for fire alarm basic services at cottages A, B, and LEB located at 160, 188, and 189 Meadowbrook Lane, Cole Township, Pennsylvania.
So moved.
Second?
On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adopt resolution R 87-18, professional services agreement between the Northumberland County Board of Commissioners and Appraisal and Marketing Associates, Inc., on behalf of the Assessment Office for assistance with assessment and appraisals of various types of properties.
So moved.
Second?
On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adopt resolution R 88-18, amendment to the January 29, 2013 lease agreement and subsequent amendments thereto between the County of Northumberland and the Northumberland County Anthracite Outdoor Adventure Area Authority, hereinafter NCAOAA, to add certain provisions as required by the U.S. Department of Agriculture Rural Development for Pennsylvania related to the ARC Power Grant, whereby the county and NCAOAA agree to protect improvements made to the leased premises with funding from the ARC grants for the useful life of these improvements, subject to approval of the solicitor, the NCAOAA, and the USDA Office of General Counsel.
So moved.
Second?
On the question, all in favor say aye.
I just thank you for Kathy for answering my questions on this. Thank you.
Anything further? On the, we already did on the question, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution number 89-18, service agreement between the Northumberland County Board of Commissioners and Outsource 1095 on behalf of the Human Resource Office for the electronic filing of Forms 1094 and 1095 with the Internal Revenue Service.
So moved.
Second?
On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adopt resolution R 90-18, Commissioners' Budget Amendments as listed.
Motion,
So moved.
and I'll second. On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain?
One abstention. Motion carries.
Motion to adopt resolution R 91-18, Agreements, Amendments, Revisions, Grants, Leases, and Reports between the Northumberland County Commissioners on behalf of the Human, Senior, and Social Services and the named service providers as listed, numbers 1 through 10. The above agreements, amendments, revisions, grants, leases, and reports are not with county employees, nor does their organizational contract list county employees as principals in their corporation or on their board of directors.
Motion.
So moved.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. On the question, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, is there any old business to come before the board? Yes. To the extent that we're taking action on them, they would have been. To be honest, I'm not sure what the four were on the agenda. That one is one that frankly doesn't even, I mean, Kevin, you can speak to, I think that you dropped something off. Or no, I'm sorry, you dropped off something on a signature thing for the bank.
I shared
Yeah.
with an option for us to decide whether we want to get into a sweep. Get a chance to.
Okay. And I'm not even familiar with exactly what it is because we haven't met because we couldn't meet because of all these allegations. So I mean, there are some business that probably, I don't think, you mentioned something to me when you came down that day, but it didn't sound like it was an urgent thing. And so there are some things that probably just will not get done till we can, you know. I don't even know if that. Yeah, you can address. I don't know if
Yeah.
I mean, to the extent that there's things that can be
In essence,
disclosed
what the
publicly.
discussion was going to be is that the county has previously exchanged certain properties that are held in a repository for other person's property. In essence, instead of selling land from the repository, we exchange. Repository land. Bodies. Get appraised so that the property. Offer made. What's the matter?
It's just a conversation that has not occurred now. They stopped down, and again, just to clarify, that's not an agenda, what you're looking at. If you notice, there's times on it. It's basically a schedule so we know when people might be stopping in at work session. Someone did stop in from Central Credit Audit. I know I met with them. Obviously, we weren't all meeting in the room there. I had indicated to them if they wanted to talk to any other commissioners. Basically, they already handle some collection matters for us on certain things, and they had a new executive who was brought in. The business is going through some transition, and the father of the former owner who had passed away, who is handling the estate and the business right now, wanted to introduce him to the county. So that was just an informal thing. There wasn't anything that needed to be approved on that. It was just really a meet and greet. Again, Mr. Willard, as you pointed out, there are a lot of, contracts that basically our approval is essentially, to formalize that this has been, approved and it is a valid contract for the county. They actually get entered into by our department heads. In many cases, we do not necessarily see every iteration of every contract that comes through, and that's just the way it is in any large organization. So when you don't see things at that meeting, if I could, when you don't see things at that work session with respect to those things, that's why, we aren't, it isn't something that's a discussion item. And even some of the other items, if it's a recurring type thing that's more administrative in nature, sometimes I see those hit the agenda. We had in the past, again, this is one of the things that's being criticized in these lawsuits or challenged. We had what we called staff meetings, for lack of a better term, but that was instituted so that we would have those a week before every public meeting, and we had a draft agenda at that. Now, not everything had made it to that draft agenda. It rarely does, and a lot of the things that don't come until later are some of those contracts that each of the departments are gathering and getting in to bring in. But to the extent that there was, everybody at least at that point knows what's going to go on the agenda. Doesn't mean that things don't come up between, the time of that meeting and this meeting. And when they do, we send those, out so that people see them. And I won't get into all the detail of it because it'll be addressed in the suit, but those are entirely appropriate. They have been recognized by our state Supreme Court as being appropriate to have those types of informational sessions. Again, I won't get into that much more. And the whole spirit of it was to have openness amongst the board. And as the Pennsylvania Supreme Court has correctly noted, is you don't want to have 3 commissioners or whatever the board is coming into a meeting, and the first time that we're hearing about an issue is 5 minutes before we're going to vote on it. So, you need to be able to have some amount of discourse, some amount of information gathering and conveyance to the commissioners, and frankly, not all of that can even take place in, frankly, in a work session, and they recognize that. And again, I won't get into all of it. It'll all become very clear. I think, one of the good things about this is the public will get to see, once for all what really is a Sunshine Act violation and what is not, and what what their officials can do and why they do it. And you'll get to see that in an open courtroom. So, thank you. Any new business? Okay, any further public input? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Thank you.